And welcome back to the Hot Lap, and it's all kicked off again at Red Bull. Jos Verstappen versus Christian Horner. Yeah, we will give you the latest. So what's triggered this latest flashpoint between Max Verstappen's dad, Jos, and Max Verstappen's boss, Christian, the boss of Red Bull Racing? Peace had appeared to have broken out at Red Bull after what was a very turbulent start to the year. Now, in recent races, the turmoil within which Red Bull was imploding, so to speak, it found itself to have kind of calmed down. Christian Horner's position as boss had seemed to be solidified, and Max Verstappen, the rumours about him going to Mercedes were, the doors were slowly closing. And on a weekend where Max Verstappen pretty much ends any uncertainty, saying he is staying at Red Bull, at least for next year, drama was boiling behind that. But without... for the Planet F1 article says quite correctly, without raking over the coals over the particular Horner saga too much, Horner's position remains secure after he oversaw his team's victorious start to 2024. But this did result in Max Verstappen's dad, Jos, calling for Horner to fall on his sword as he asserted Red Bull would explode with the Englishman in charge. Now, the fallout from this investigation that started at the beginning of the year, we know it's not quite over yet. However, the coals have somewhat water has been thrown on the hot coal for the time being, and the result of the appeal made by the suspended employee who's at the heart of this matter is yet to be revealed. We're not sure what the process is going to be. Now, also, the performance advantage of the team now is also nowhere near as the levels of dominance we witnessed kind of at the end of 22 and the beginning of 23. But having won 7 out of those 10 races so far, the squad is looking set for another title, at least in the driver's title. Maybe not so much in the constructors, but that may be another thing entirely. But Horner feels like he's fully secure. Now, curiously enough, Max Verstappen, as I said, had asserted Red Bull 2024. Now, having a contract, though, until 2028, Verstappen's future with Red Bull has still looked potentially uncertain. Toto Wolff still has been very open about wanting Max Verstappen. Now, in tandem with that, it certainly hasn't been a bad time for Mercedes, because they've had an average start, but their car was looking very competitive, particularly at Spain. And adding to that, Verstappen's mind about what is going to happen to the 2026 rules. But all these cat and mouse games, they appeared to be put to bed on Thursday with, as I keep saying, and I'm reiterating, Max Verstappen, Red Bull 2025. But Christian Horner has come out and stirred the coals a tiny bit on that, with Jos Verstappen stirring the coals as well. Why? Well, Let's get involved. So Horner denies meddling after Jos Verstappen's accusations. What do you mean, pray tell? Red Bull Formula 1 team principal Horner has denied meddling in what was a planned demo run for Jos Verstappen that's triggered the latest flashpoint between the pair. Verstappen Sr. caused a stir on Friday when he accused Horner of moving to block his planned involvement in the annual Legends Parade at the Austrian Grand Prix. He had been set to join fellow ex-F1 drivers Gerhard Berger, David Coulthard, Emerson Fittipaldi in the demonstration run planned for Sunday, taking the wheel of a 2012 RB8 car, I think Sebastian Vettel's. But Verstappen's claimed that he had been forced to pull out because Horner did not want him to be filmed. Now, speaking to Dutch newspaper Der Telegraph, maybe a bit biased because it's a Dutch newspaper, but Verstappen did say over the past few days, I've heard from several people that Christian Horner did everything he could to make sure I didn't drive, and to otherwise make sure nothing would be filmed. Then I think, say it to my face, this way I don't want to do it anymore. I find it very disappointing. And he also adds to the website of the Dutch magazine Formula 1, I'm completely done with him. It looks like a kindergarten I could have driven, but I pulled out. I find this so childish of Horner. It says something about him, I think. But it's not only that. Christian Horner was at the press conference and repeatedly asked about Jos, repeatedly also asked about Max Verstappen going to Mercedes, which I think was fairly telling and quite interesting. And I want to break down that let's just say, very interesting very interesting set of questions and his answers. Obviously, we're not going to be playing the full press conference here, but what I have here is a number of clips. So this is on Mercedes. Let's listen to this.
He's got a tremendous group around him, and we know what the future looks like, and obviously a lot of noise has been made about him going elsewhere, and
this is on Max going elsewhere.
One just thinks that that's a distraction tactic that's just thrown in, because you have to question, what are the motives, obviously behind that, and the driver that's created all the movement in the market had all the information,
Lewis,
about the engines and 2026 regulations and so on, and chose to leave and left a vacancy at Mercedes, which is why there has now been obviously a little bit of speculation as to who will fill that seat, but it won't be Max Verstappen.
So he's obviously adamant that Max Verstappen is not going to Mercedes. We can't really comment on that. I don't really know. I'm not a mind reader. Could Max go to Mercedes? Absolutely. But it's interesting that he talks about 2026, because the rumours are that the Red Bull powertrains engine is potentially not going to be as good as Mercedes. We will not really know until 2026 hits. What's interesting, though, he's basically saying Lewis Hamilton, he looked on the simulator, he left Mercedes because he knew their car was going to be rubbish in 2026. That's kind of what he's intimating. I understand why. He hasn't really got his facts right. It's quite obvious that Lewis left Mercedes. One of the main reasons was because he felt that Mercedes lost faith in Lewis Hamilton. They just offered him a 1 + 1 year contract, meaning, yeah, for 2024, absolutely, Lewis, but 2025, we're not so sure. So there was a break clause on both sides. Lewis said, well, Ferrari are offering me what I want. I'm going to go to Ferrari. It wasn't necessarily just about Mercedes' vision for 2026. But Christian Horner's there. He's allowed his spin because Toto Wolff equally has a spin, but he's not being entirely honest. But once again, in the interest of fairness, he's a team boss. All team bosses will potentially do that. But that was him on Mercedes. Now, if we forward a tiny bit, he then talks about Max Verstappen, Jos Verstappen. Here we go.
Total.com question is to Christian. I'm sure you're aware of some reports in the Dutch media claiming that you vetoed Jos Verstappen being filmed during the Legends Parade, and Jos's reaction to it, which was, "This is kindergarten, childish, and I am completely done with him." Now, there's always two sides to every story, so what's yours?
Look, I've been made aware that the Legends Parade is something that is organised by the circuit. There was no veto from my side or anything like that, and I'm sure the Legends will be in action later.
So there you go. I mean, fair enough. He said I did not veto it. Once again, I guess you got to take it on face value. You could argue Christian Horner has been economic with the truth in the past, but to be fair, I think so is Jos Verstappen. Who do you believe? But then why would Jos suddenly pull out when all seems to be well? What does he have to really gain from it? But then what does Christian have to be gaining from it? I mean, to be fair, I have no idea who to believe. Maybe it's been taken out of context. Potentially there was a story going around that Christian Horner suggested, Jos, why do you want Jos in the car? Maybe questioning why Jos was doing it rather than vetoing it. Jos got wind of it and threw his toys out of the pram. That one is also potentially fairly likely, maybe the most likely, given the evidence we have, because that's somewhere in the middle of the two arguments. But there we go. Christian Horner denying the veto. Now let's have a look at the Toto Element. Once again, he's being questioned time and time again about Toto Wolff and Max going to Mercedes. Give me 2 secs. I'll just get that clip ready. It's I will link the description in below. This was, I think, 7 minutes 20 seconds into the video. So let's forward that, shall we? Okay.
Made yesterday that he is staying put. And secondly, the Toto element still puzzles me. He keeps saying, he's interested in Max, and he's even saying now, even Max coming out and saying, I'm staying, and he's like, well, is he? He's not too sure. Why does he keep on saying that? Why do you think?
I mean, that's a question you'd have to ask Toto. I thought Max was pretty resolute in what he said in this conference yesterday. He's always been absolutely consistent with that with the team. So yeah, why Toto? I think it's purely a tactic of distraction. Of course, if he does want a Verstappen for next year, then I guess Jos is potentially available.
Okay, yeah, Jos, Jos is potentially available. Yeah, awkward much, maybe. I mean, yeah. Why? I don't know why you mentioned Jos. I mean, it kind of goes against, obviously, the whole, I didn't veto Jos. He has to have that little jab because it's Christian Horner, maybe. Once again, other team bosses are just as bad. Toto Wolff has been known to do that as well, in the interest and fairness. And they also ask him about Jos and his relationship with Jos Verstappen because, hey, that's the story. That's most certainly the story at the moment. Not Red Bull doing very well, but here we go.
Jos Nederpelt, nu.nl. A question to Christian. How did your relationship with Jos change over the years, and where did it went wrong?
Look, I don't think it's really helpful to continue talking on the topic of Jos. I think our focus is very much on Max. He's our driver. He's who we have a contract with, and he's who we're focused on trying to win this Grand Prix with.
There we go. I mean, that's pretty much it. But it is very much Christian Horner versus Jos Verstappen. Rumours that Jos was, well, I've seen photos of him talking to one of the top Mercedes guys. Once again, igniting the rumours with Max Verstappen going to Mercedes. Toto saying, we'd love to have Max Mercedes. But then Mercedes, what are you going to do with Kimi Antonelli? What are you going to do with George Russell? 3 does not go into 2. So, stay tuned. I doubt this will be the end of the Jos versus Horner or the Horner saga for 2024. But let's hope we get back to the racing and have a really good sprint race. You may have seen the sprint race by the time you watch this, because it's been recorded a tiny bit late. If you liked what you see, you want to see more, give us a subscribe, comment below, let us know what you think about the Jos versus Horner debate, and we will no doubt speak to you soon. If you like, you are an F1 World Champion in our eyes. If you like and comment or subscribe, if you do 2 or more of them, you're a multiple World Champion in our eyes. We'll speak to you soon. Thank you very much.